Good morning, Bengals fans. What is going on? It is officially day 2 of the Bengals offseason here for 2025. As we talked about yesterday, the Bengals fired Lou Anarumo along with a couple other coaches as well. So that means coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about potential Lou Anarumo replacements for the Bengals' next defensive coordinator. Obviously, Zac Taylor's search is well underway at this point, but I do think it will be some time before he officially announces who the next defensive coordinator will be. So we're going to talk through a bunch of names coming up on today's show. Now, if you want more videos detailing this Bengals defensive coordinator search, help us out. Like today's video for me right now. Hit that thumbs up icon. Should be a big video for us here at Bengals Breakdown, going for at least 500 likes on this one. So help us out. Hit that thumbs up icon if you have not done so already. All right, let's start with 2 in-house options. Now, let me start by saying I would be shocked if either one of these guys was the next Bengals defensive coordinator. In fact, I would go as far as to say that these two are probably lucky to still be sticking around after several of the changes that were made on the defensive side of the ball as far as coaches go. Obviously, Anarumo's gone, but so is James Betcher, the linebackers coach, and Marion Hobby, the defensive line coach as well. We'll start with Charles Burks. Bengals have really liked what he's been able to do, of course, as that cornerbacks coach, but obviously they really struggled at that position here in 2024, but he's going to be coming back. Zac Taylor really likes him. And Jordan Kovacs, the Bengals safeties coach, obviously also struggled at that safety position. He came in with Cincinnati in 2019, and he really has done a nice job of climbing the ladder for the Cincinnati Bengals. Started out as a quality control guy, and that has switched to an assistant linebackers coach before now being the safeties coach. These guys are coming back, but I would be totally shocked if one of these guys was the next Bengals defensive coordinator. All right, now let's talk about some former NFL head coaches that could potentially be in the running for Cincinnati. We'll start with Dennis Allen. Allen, of course, was fired by the New Orleans Saints, and he has served 2 stints as an NFL head coach in Vegas, or I guess it was Oakland back then, prior to New Orleans, both of which did not go well, but both of his defenses have always been good, and he's had a lot of success as a defensive coordinator in the league. If you remember, he was Sean Payton's defensive coordinator before eventually taking over for him as the head coach. Zac Taylor, when he was brought in, tried to get Dennis Allen into Cincinnati at that defensive coordinator spot. Didn't really make sense, though, for Allen to make a lateral move, stay at the same position, defensive coordinator, but moved from New Orleans to Cincinnati, so that didn't work out. Obviously went with Lou Anarumo. But Taylor has a lot of respect for Dennis Allen, and I promise you he will be reaching out to him with hopes that he can be the Bengals' next defensive coordinator. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Who should the Bengals hire as their next defensive coordinator? I want to know what you guys think. We'll have a bunch of names to talk about on today's show. But sound off for us. Be realistic for us. Let's hear some realistic options for Cincinnati. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Next up here is Robert Saleh. Saleh, of course, was one of the scapegoats in New York. He got fired, in my opinion, a little bit too early on, but hey, that's just what Woody Johnson does over there in East Rutherford. I would be really surprised if he came to Cincinnati. I got a lot of respect for Saleh, but his style and Zac Taylor's style, they don't really mesh up. They kind of clash a little bit. So I would be really shocked if Saleh was the next DC in Cincinnati, but Saleh's going to be getting calls from teams all over the league. He was a great defensive coordinator for San Francisco, obviously, before taking the Jets job, helped lead them to a Super Bowl. He'll have a job if he wants it this season as a defensive coordinator. Would be surprised if it was in Cincinnati. Next guy's interesting. Mike Zimmer, of course, served as the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator this season, and who knows what the Cowboys are going to do. They're kind of in limbo. Is McCarthy going to come back? Are they going to fire him? What's going on with that? So there's a lot of uncertainty around Mike Zimmer. Look, he's revered in this organization. The whole front office still loves him. The best Bengals defenses in franchise history were with Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator. He still has property in Northern Kentucky. This could potentially be, a reunion with Mike Zimmer and Cincinnati. Zac Taylor loves him, has a ton of respect for him. If you remember, leading up to that Cowboys game, he spoke at length about Mike Zimmer. So we'll see what the Cowboys decided to do, but I think Mike Zimmer, his return to Cincinnati definitely is a possibility. Next guy, Matt Eberflus, of course, was fired by the Chicago Bears. Just a disaster, really, tenure in Chicago. But he's done some good things defensively. If you remember when he was with Indianapolis, he did a lot of good stuff with their defense. Don't think he's a head coach, obviously. I don't think he's a head coach at heart, but I think he will get another opportunity as a coordinator, and he could potentially land with Cincinnati. But again, I would be really shocked if Matt Eberflus was the Bengals' next guy at DC. Got my front runner coming up here in a moment. There's a certain name right now that really sticks out, and then later on we'll talk about a different name that I'm kind of hoping for, but there's really two names at the top for me that we will discuss here in a moment. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, because today's show, of course, is presented by Game Time. And look, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Also, make sure you get ready for the playoffs. The best way to go see playoffs live and in action is with Game Time. I went to the Bengals AFC Championship several years ago, the one they won against Kansas City with my dad at the time of our lives. And how did we get our tickets? Yep, you guessed it. It was with Game Time. A couple of my favorite features on Game Time: the seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with Game Time. And, you won't get blocked out by a foul pole or anything like that. Got spring training really is just around the corner for the Cincinnati Reds. They made a couple of moves yesterday. How about that? Terry Francona coming in as their manager as well. So an exciting season for the Cincinnati Redlegs to come. Get some spring training tickets. Head on over to Game Time and do that. Also, the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature up front allows you to see your total up front so you don't get hit with any of those surprise fees at checkout like some of those other ticketing companies can get you with. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. All right, here is my front runner as of now. That, of course, is Al Golden. There are so many connections between Golden and the Cincinnati Bengals organization. If you remember, he was the linebackers coach for Cincinnati for a couple of years. One of those years, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, and all of his linebackers were on a rookie contract that season. And if you remember, Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, that's when they were playing the best football of their career, is when Al Golden was coaching them. Golden, of course, is the current defensive coordinator at Notre Dame right now, so he is in the midst of a playoff run. Definitely could, impact the interview process in that regard. But, look, I expect Notre Dame to get the victory over Penn State and compete for a national title. We will see. But he has such a history of developing young defensive players, and that is what you need. Your young guys haven't been good enough for you on the defensive side of the ball. This guy in Al Golden can help develop them. Again, he has history with Cincinnati. Zac Taylor loves the guy. He was here for 2 years, got promoted to that Notre Dame defensive coordinator spot. We'll see, though. He might be happy at the college level. Of course, he was the head coach of the U several years ago, as well as Temple as well. So not exactly sure if he wants to come back to the NFL, but I know Zac Taylor will give him a call, and the Bengals are certainly interested with a reunion, as far as a reunion goes, with Al Golden. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Would you hire Al Golden as the Bengals' next defensive coordinator? Let me know in the comments section. Type Y for yes or N for no. Last kind of segment here, we'll talk about some up-and-coming names that the Bengals could potentially target at that defensive coordinator spot. We'll start with Christian Parker. Parker is really a hot name. People think it's only a matter of time before he gets a gig as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. I believe he's only 32 years of age, which really is impressive. Right now is with Philadelphia as their passing game coordinator on defense, as well as their defensive backs coach. Previously spent time with Denver as well. People love this guy. He is a name to monitor. Out of all the up-and-coming guys, he's not at the top of my list, but he will probably have a defensive coordinator job this coming season, just a matter if it is in Cincinnati or not. Talked about how there was two guys that I thought were at the top of my list personally. The first, of course, was Al Golden. The second is this guy right here, and Aubrey Pleasant. Couple of reasons why I like this guy so much. Number one, came from McVay, right? Taylor and Aubrey Pleasant spent time together in Los Angeles with McVay. Aubrey Pleasant then left for Detroit, but now he is back in Los Angeles with Sean McVay in a larger role. He's the defensive backs coach and the passing game coordinator on defense. He's also an assistant head coach right now for Los Angeles. And Sean McVay is kind of in that spot now where everything he touches seems to turn to gold, right? And, his tree is starting to get really, really impressive. And if you're on that Rams staff, I have interest in you. despite the fact, of course, the Bengals lost to him in the Super Bowl. But Sean McVay knows what he's doing. He's got stars all over the place. You've seen it with Kevin O'Connell, who is arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. I think Aubrey Pleasant could have potential to be a superstar. He's a younger guy. Zac Taylor, a younger guy as well. I think getting more youth and energy in the building would be helpful for Cincinnati. I really like Aubrey Pleasant, and he might be, at this point, again, we're only one day into the search, but he might be my favorite potential candidate for Cincinnati right now. Next up, Steve Clinkscale. We've talked about him in the past a little bit here at Bengals Breakdown. He's an Ohio guy, right? Was born in Youngstown, and he coached at Michigan for several years, and people are really impressed with what Jesse Minter is doing on the defensive side of the ball in Los Angeles. Of course, Clinkscale is then a Harbaugh guy as well. He was with Michigan for several years, and now he is the DB's coach at the Chargers. People are thinking that he's only a matter of time away before he gets an opportunity as a DC. He's a Michigan guy, right? The Bengals, for whatever reason, love their Michigan guys. So he is a potential candidate for Cincinnati and one that should be taken very, very seriously. Last guy here on today's show is Ryan Downard. And look, nobody's talking about this. This is kind of something that I just came up with on my own. Downard also is an Ohio guy. He cut his teeth at Toledo as a grad assistant. He went to Eastern Michigan. He's a MAC guy, right? And he's been with Green Bay since 2018. And when I think of the Green Bay Packers, they're probably the organization in the entire league that I respect the most. They just don't make mistakes, and they know what they are doing. He has been a big part of their organization since 2018. Currently is their DB's coach right now. He also played as well, in college. I believe he may have been in the league for a little bit. I could be wrong on that, but he did play at one point. And like I said, DB's coach right now with Green Bay. Nobody's talking about this guy, but I think it's only a matter of time before he gets an opportunity to move somewhere else. We'll see if he wants to leave Green Bay or not. They're doing great things, tremendous things on the defensive side of the ball, particularly at that cornerback spot. They've been banged up there, but he's done a nice job of having that next man up mentality. And I am a big fan of Ryan Downard. And I think it's only a matter of time before he gets a promotion somewhere. Again, nobody is talking about that name. I came up with it myself, but I think it's one that the Bengals should certainly monitor in this defensive coordinator search. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. We will have off-season videos all off-season long for you guys, and we will continue to detail the Bengals defensive coordinator search. So don't miss out on any of our coverage. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV.